Good morning, Miro.
Good morning. Hello, Gabi.
Good morning. Welcome back. So we continue our 7S interview series, and today it's all about self-discipline.
Absolutely.
Let me take a short summary of what you described on EP about it. So you say self-discipline, take responsibility for your life and for your actions. Plan exactly what needs to be done and just do it with full engagement without postponing it. So happy to
Just
have you. So
yes,
what
I'm
is
very
it
happy to
about
be here.
self-discipline? What's your first lecture you want to give us?
Maybe the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about discipline, because I spoke to many people about it, also my clients and friends, and usually the image of this term, self-discipline, is not that nice comparing to the other 7 S's, let's say, if we take nature, the sun, most people like the sun, or most people like to laugh and smile, another S. Or even doing sports, maybe not everybody, but still the image of sport is probably pretty positive, not to mention sex and other beautiful as things. But the self-discipline looks like, wow, it's some kind being strict to yourself and like kind of maybe even negative or like restricting yourself, controlling yourself. Not so nice. So I would like to start with this in the sense that actually it might even be partly true that for a moment, and everybody kind of experienced it, that self-discipline might mean that we have to tell to ourselves, I'm not doing something that I actually would like to do because I got this idea or I have this smell maybe to eat something nice even though I know I shouldn't, or I know I should be learning something but I have this idea to maybe call a friend or go and make another coffee or whatever, and then like to saying no to something I actually like to do. This is the common image people might have when they think about self-discipline, and it is part of the big picture. But what we should remember is that actually the reward that comes when we stick to this concept of doing what we should be doing, actually the big reward comes a bit later, but it comes, and then we are proud of ourselves. We know that we are on the right track, and we feel well. So when we think about well-being in terms of this eudaimonism, like this long-term being like happy with ourselves, knowing that we are on the right track, that we are going to the right direction, then self-discipline is essential. If we just fall for the hedonistic concept of like following our short-term pleasures, it might be like a little conflict, right? That we have to sacrifice sometimes the short-term stuff for the long-term goals, which also comes with pleasure, but it's postponed. It's the famous concept of procrastination, or maybe I'm pretty sure you might have heard about these marshmallow experiments with kids when they were given a small, nice sweetie, and they, if with the instruction, if you eat it now, I will come in a few minutes, but if you eat this little candy, which is called marshmallow in the States, then you will not get another one. But if you wait until I come, I bring you another one. And then the kids, some of them ate it and some of them waited, and then they got the two, and then they followed up in 10 years and another 10 years. This was done when the kids were 5 years old, and then they followed up through the next decades. And what was found out that the kids who tended to wait could also achieve other goals, like not only wait for another candy, another pleasure, but they could achieve more important goals. They had better results at studying and also pursuing our
Very
goals. So
interesting.
this shows that this tendency to be able to sacrifice some short-term pleasures for some long-term, more important achievements, goals, and things that are consistent with what we really want to do and what we really want to be makes a lot of sense.
Do you think self-discipline is teachable and trainable? Can we learn it?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Gabi. I think as with most of the psychological traits, there is a strong genetic component.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with the kids, when they did it, most probably could say that I cannot imagine that these 5-year-old kids were already on some training for self-discipline. So probably their differences were based on their genetic predispositions. So we all
Mm-hmm.
have them. We have our talents, strengths, and also weaknesses. We want to concentrate on strengths in positive psychology with a very good reason. But also we could say that this strength of being inclined into being self-disciplined has a genetic component, but it doesn't mean that it's all, because as we know that genetics might play a role, like it's a strong influence. It's according to some studies, it's usually around like 40–50% of the total outcomes, which means that the inclination is strong, but we have the whole plus minus 50% of the other half for our effort, for our planned action, and we can definitely modify our behavior, and we can learn things, including being more self-disciplined, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And what also comes to my mind, the intention of positive psychology is to strengthen and to do more of the things we enjoy, which give us positive emotions, and so on. So maybe it's rather not reducing or not training resistance, not to do what is not good for me, but maybe self-discipline is to keep up with the things that do you well. Is
Absolutely,
it?
this consistency of doing the right thing, but I think it includes most of the time the resistance to the disturbing factors
Okay.
that come either from the external world, because
Mm-hmm.
somebody might call us and invite us for some little party on the evening that we know or we planned to do something else, or our thoughts, wander. And then even though we promise to ourselves that we're going to do something, we might have another idea, which just follows like a instinctive wish to do something, eat something, drink something, call somebody, whatever. Yeah? So it's
Mm-hmm.
both. Like, so I think, but I think you're absolutely right that we should start with this positive intention. And for this, I believe personally, it is crucial, again, to know yourself, meaning know your strengths, but also even, I would say, going deeper, know your values. So know who I am, what is important for me, who I want to become, what would be the best version of myself in a long-term vision. What kind of vision of myself do I have based on my values and my strengths, and then having a plan and a goal and a vision where I want to go. And then if we have a clear vision of what should be done in our own interest, yeah, then we have a road map, that
Mm-hmm.
at least like a kind of like a first version, yeah, that we know more or less in which direction we should go. And then it's our work, yeah, to plan, to make the big goal divided into small goals for every year, every month, every week, every day. Some people do it on paper or electronically, or some people might have it in their mind, but some paperwork or some kind of putting it into external piece of paper or electronic information, according to most researchers and also practitioners, is very helpful, including even, maybe you heard about this method of informing other people about your goals, like your spouse or even your children or your colleagues. They said, look, I decided to, I don't know, could be like even like lose weight and practice sports every day. Please, I want you to know that you can support me. If you see that I have a weak day, please remind me and please give me a kick or kick my
Mm-hmm.
arse that I go in this direction, or not let me fail, or
Mm-hmm.
support my way. So this is
Mm-hmm.
one very good method, I believe, because then
Yeah.
we have this external support, and we are a little bit potentially ashamed of not fulfilling our action, or also thankful to the people who might want to support us. So this is very good. Like some people, a very practical method that I sometimes recommend to my clients is put your goals on the fridge. It's
Mm-hmm.
a comes from America, as many of these concepts, but I find this one very nice. I did it even for myself a few times, and it really works and helps, so that everybody sees this, my goals written on the fridge, because most people come now and then to take something out of the fridge. So this is
Mm-hmm.
a place where people will come and see things written or put on a sticker. And then I am aware that everybody will many times a day see it, so my motivation automatically rises, because I wouldn't like to fail in their eyes. So there is a mix of positive and negative motivation in a way. Like, of course, we want to achieve our goals and be the best version of ourselves and so on, but also we don't want to fail or look bad in the eyes of our friends or family. So I think there is a lot of supporting methods that we can use. We just need to want and
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Mm-hmm. Another method I know is to motivate yourself when you put a sticker like you described on the mirror. Sorry,
Yeah.
on the mirror in the bathroom. When you see yourself every day, and look
Yeah,
at it
you
and
look in
remind
your eyes.
yourself.
Like many people have this metaphor. Okay, I want to be able to look in my eyes, in my face in the morning. Well, some men say when I shave, I want to be able to look in my eyes. Then, meaning like I still accept myself. Like when I see this face, I see a person that I like, that I respect, because I'm doing what I can in order to fulfill my full potential, coming back to our last episode, like to self-realization. So this is
Mm-hmm.
all interconnected again. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
self-discipline should not be like I'm restricting something, I'm only focused with this. Is crucial, but the important thing is, why do I want to be disciplined? What
Mm-hmm.
is important enough for me that I do some sacrifices, that I choose to focus on this thing and not on the
Yeah.
other thing.
And not on
And
the action itself, probably. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
absolutely,
And potential sounds much easier and nicer than plan.
yes,
It can
absolutely.
be a
So this
big
is also the
motivator.
wording that we should use, because that's why, as I said, self-discipline doesn't have the nice image. It maybe
Mm-hmm.
has even some kind of negative connotations. But in the end, I think there are even like common sayings like no guts, no glory, or no pain, no gain. Yeah. So I think we know, even in the Proverbs, even in the common sense thinking, that if we want to achieve something, there is some element of sacrifice or hard work behind it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we should not avoid this aspect and like
Mm-hmm.
pretend that everything can be nice and easy, no problem, it will be sweet. And so, no,
It's
we
not.
need hard work. We need to sit down for many hours, and maybe we'll be tired and so on.
Mm-hmm.
We might take care of a good balance and also take care of ourselves at the same time, but a certain amount of work, of hard time, of focus, of rejecting these temptations that come all the time to our head, or other people like tempt us with their nice proposals, what they offer us, and then knowing our goals and knowing why we want to do it, knowing why is it important for us, helps us enormously to stay on the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a plan. You mentioned goals. Goals play an important role in the whole process.
Yeah, exactly. Goals that bring us closer to self-realization. Yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
usually, we might have different goals. It might be like finishing school, or finishing university, or getting a great job. And then these things are like, for instance, to get a great job, you need to start very early, usually, to be good at school and then go to the right university and so on. So like it's years of effort. Yeah. And this, having these long-term goals that, okay, I see I have certain talents, but in order to be able to put this talent into practice, I need to make sure that along the way through childhood, adolescence, and then early adulthood, I have a certain discipline to focus my effort on the way to achieve certain formal aspects that make it possible for me, let's say, to be a medical doctor. Some people have this dream, or a veterinary doctor, or lawyer, or whatever, or teacher. Yeah? It's a long way. Yeah? And then we might have our talents, but if we stop persisting, or like we go in many other ways a little bit, we don't finish the one thing that we should, and then we are not able to practice it, because that, like, it's not always possible, or at least not always easy, to restart, let's say, in adult life, to go for another education, which is of course possible, and I wouldn't like to discourage anybody with this, but we also know that it's much easier if we go the way in one direction for a long time. And the sooner we start, the easier it is to get there. Of course, it is still possible to change direction sometime in life, or even start totally anew. And this is also beautiful, and it's possible, but the amount of discipline actually that is needed for the second start is much higher. So there are people who did it, but these are people of strong character. Yeah? So, I mean, if we think I'm strong enough to restart many times in my life, okay, congratulations. Maybe you are, yeah, but be sure that it's the case, because for most people, it's easier to follow the well-paved path of
Mm-hmm.
disciplined, persistent, consistent approach through the early years, and have a clear vision of what we want to do early enough, and not
Mm-hmm.
postpone. And
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
postpone it, it's always dangerous. It's this famous procrastination syndrome. A lot of talented people, through procrastination, ruined their chance of becoming really successful and achieving their meaningful purpose, or having a meaningful life, yeah, because they thought they were talented, so they thought, okay, they can afford not working hard because it
Mm-hmm.
was good enough at a certain stage of their life, like even at school or at the university. But there comes always a moment where talent enough is not talent alone is not enough. We always need hard work, and all the best sports people, musicians, scientists, whoever you ask, the top people will say something like, it's like 1% of talent and 99% of hard work. That's what you usually hear from the
Usually here,
top.
definitely. Definitely. So this, what
So
you described,
1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. That's another version I heard.
aspiration.
Mhm.
It's the fixed mindset, basically, which people lead to the opinion that I have a talent and I don't need to work on it. But there can be so much more. You can make something out of your talent.
Exactly. And then some people even choose to, as we know from the positive psychology perspective, we think, okay, this is my talent, this is where I am good already, so maybe I should work on my weaknesses, which seems actually a very reasonable concept. Yeah? But then we know now that actually, if you want to be really successful and have a meaningful life, you should rather work on your talents and strengths, then concentrate too much on your weaknesses, which doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that you should not work on your weaknesses at all, because they should at least not be a bottleneck, should not hinder you, should not be a break to your development, so to say. So they
Mm-hmm.
should be your weakness should be on a like kind of acceptable level, that people don't hate you because of it, or you don't ruin your relationships because of it, or and so on. But the success and the meaning in life comes from following your strengths and your talents.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
And
where you need the discipline to stick to this road, to be persistent on developing your talents.
mm-hmm. And the chance of being successful is more likely if you start with what is working well, what has worked well in the past, what is your character strength at the moment. It's
Absolutely.
always with you, take it, rather than looking at weaknesses. Whereas weaknesses are chances on the other side. Maybe there is potential in weaknesses which can become strengths. So it's a balance, I think.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting discussion. I believe I had this, let's say, I suspected this mechanism intuitively for many years, and now, to my knowledge, positive psychology gives this answer that I would simplify in the following sentence: that if you have a weakness and you work on it, you are able many times to make out of this weakness a thing that is good enough, or like kind of average. I believe it is very, very rare that you can make a strength, like that you can be a world-class person in something that was originally your definite weakness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's absolutely impossible,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe it's very improbable. Yeah. So I think it's much wiser if we have some talents to work on the talents. And as we know from some positive psychology studies, somehow many weaknesses will in a way take care of themselves without even our effort of working on them. And it's quite initially it sounds like a kind of magic or strange, but if we are becoming great at something, from good to great, then we become more self-confident. We are more accepting ourselves. People are acknowledging our quality and the value of our what we do, because strength or talent doesn't exist in isolation. It's always
Mm-hmm.
something that we do in a way for other people, maybe giving them even a pleasure of watching us playing a great tennis or playing fantastically violin on a concert. But our strength translates always to some benefit to other people. And
Mm-hmm.
the combination of our self-confidence coming from the fact that we know that we are doing something on a very good level, plus the feedback and appreciation from others, makes us a better person, and also like cuts the corners of our negative aspects of our personalities. And
Mm-hmm.
people are also much more willing to accept our weaknesses when they see our greatness somewhere else. But
Mm-hmm.
if we are only average plus some weaknesses, these weaknesses stand out and people notice. But if you are great at least at one thing or a few things, even if you have your weakness, like some famous professors like Einstein, let's take him. So he was a clear genius and he was admired, but he had a lot of clear weaknesses as well. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just read about lately that he was a terrible sailor. They had to, when he was sailing, he broke the mast many times. The boat was collapsed. He was a terrible sailor, but he enjoyed it. But everybody was like laughing and accepting him, and they brought him back, repaired the boat, and nobody cared, yeah, because everybody knew this is Einstein. This is this genius guy. He's so great at certain things that
Mm-hmm.
let's forget his little failures in some other areas, But
Mm-hmm.
you need to have this greatness somewhere to
Mm-hmm.
be able to kind of expect that people will say, no worries, this is not important, because they appreciate so much your greatness. So this would be my advice, which might be a bit counterintuitive for some people, but I really, once again, would say, know yourself, know your values, know your strengths and talents, and put your focus there.
And search for an opportunity to show them. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's we know it's a
Exactly, that
couple
it
of.
has, and this showing means actually making it a value for other people. Because because you could imagine something like playing computer games. This is a
Mm-hmm.
big problem for a lot of young males around the world nowadays. That they're sitting down in let's say in this keller and then playing like 8 or 10 or more hours a day computer games. And they might be really good at it, but in most cases they don't bring any special value unless they like play professional and make some money. That might be some value, at least of material nature, but usually there is not a lot of value to the society or to other people. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I think your point is very good, that the talent should also have this, let's say, potential to bring value not only to ourselves, that we know I'm good at something like it, clicking at in this
Mm-hmm.
computer game, but with my talents, I make the life of some other people better, or
Mm-hmm.
I make the world a better place to live, yeah? Or
Mm-hmm.
I bring value, I help people, yeah, or I make their life easier, or whatever. This is
Mm-hmm.
how
Mm-hmm.
jobs are constructed. That in the end, the job that I do brings some value to the directly to other people. Like if you think about the job of a teacher or a doctor, so you help people, kind of teach people directly. Yeah? But if you are like, let's say, secretary in a big corporation, you might not feel it, but in the end, the company is most probably producing product or service that makes sense for some other people. So you are
Mm-hmm.
part of making this sense. So your
Mm-hmm.
good quality work also contributes to some benefits for others. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
it should be connected to this, like, to make sense, yeah, to
Yeah.
matter for us. The
Yeah.
meaning is always not in isolation for me as a person, but the meaning is always also for other people. Or
Mm-hmm.
even, like, I would say more, we really can find a meaning in things that make sense for others. Then the meaning is complete and
Mm-hmm.
true.
Mm-hmm. Then we matter. Yeah, then we play a role. Then we leave like a footprint. It's also a nice picture, I think. We leave a
It's a
footprint on Earth.
very nice saying. Or some people say leave legacy. So, like this famous experiment, also in positive psychology, that you write what you would like to see on your grave, or written or said on your funeral. Yeah, what kind of
Mm-hmm.
person you were. So this is
Mm-hmm.
something I did a few times with my clients. It's very powerful technique.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people have these thoughts, and it's really good to write it down, not only like think about it. Some people are even afraid of this and say, "Oh, this, why should I think about my death and so on?" But I think, everybody
Mm-hmm.
will die. I mean, it's kind of like, we cannot neglect it,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
avoid it. And
That's
then,
life.
we still have a lot of time in most cases. We don't know, because we might have an accident tomorrow, obviously, but at least we assume, okay, if I'm 50, maybe I can live until 80. So I have 30 years. So what can I
Mm.
do in these 30 years to make sure that what I hear about myself at my funeral is something that I would be proud
Yeah.
of?
Yeah.
And say, that's exactly what I would like to hear. And this, now I see that my life made sense. My life mattered. I did something that I
Mm-hmm.
proud of,
Mm-hmm.
and I good.
So maybe when you're a young person, you can make a milder version of this intervention, which is the birthday letter. So imagine
Yeah,
you have 30 years, 50 years, and someone makes a speech upon your birthday. What would he say?
exactly.
So that's
That's
the
a very
maybe the
very
milder
good.
version.
Exactly. For people, I think the thoughts about death, they come at the earliest, at people, to my knowledge, are around 30 years old. Usually
Mm-hmm.
before 30 years of age, most people don't even have these thoughts that, okay, my life is not, my life has a limit, and what it will be, and I'm getting older and so on. But usually people after 30, 40, 50 years old, in these decades, they start to think, okay, it's not unlimited. I see, okay, I'm not that strong, I'm not that fit as before, maybe even both physically and intellectually. So I see there's certain decline. I'm still good, I'm still okay, but it's not anymore going upwards. It's slowly declining, and I still have a few decades of life, hopefully. And the question is, what do I do with it? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Do I just let it decline, observe, and say, oh, okay, unfortunately, it's going down? Or do I use the time to make something beautiful, something great, something that I can be proud of, and that the people can benefit from it?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe
Yeah.
then write something or say something nice about me at the funeral. So it's not about that this should be the goal, that the funeral thing, but it's only like this metaphor that shows our life has an end, and we have certain responsibility to do the best out of it. Yeah. And the
Mm-hmm.
best out
Mm-hmm.
of what? I would say the best out of the talent is the most efficient way, comparing to making the best out of your weaknesses, which is also an option. But I think if we want to be really happy in the end and have a fulfilled life, working on our talents, once again, is a better and more, I would say, predictably successful way to land at this stage, rather than working on your many weaknesses. Everybody has weaknesses. I have, you have, everybody. But the benefits that we can potentially bring to the world will rather be based on our strengths. So let's shift our attention to our strengths and talents. And it's also much more pleasant, yeah, because
Yeah.
we like ourselves the moment we are showing how great we are at something, and this gives us this natural motivation. But bringing our weakness from, let's say, -8 on the scale, like comparing the scale of happiness
Mm-hmm.
or well-being in positive psychology, usually if you work hard and bring it from -8 to -3 with a lot of hard work after many years, I don't think you will be so very happy with this
Mm-hmm.
-3,
Okay.
Even if you land around 0, yeah, maybe you would have some satisfaction, good. But I think bringing something from +3 to +9 is another dimension.
Okay, perfect. Which brings us back to self-realization. So would you like to summarize maybe what's important about planning, achieving, the process behind?
Know yourself, know
Mm-hmm.
your values, know who you want to be. Imagine the best version of yourself, not only like from day to day, based on your emotionality and behavior, but also of your potential, who you can become if
Mm-hmm.
you do the right thing. Diagnose your strengths. There are a lot of tools also in positive psychology to help you to know your talents and strengths. And then be ready to work hard and focus your attention on developing these skills, these abilities based on your strengths, and you will see that the quality of your life will only increase and you will be proud of yourself.
Perfect. Thank you, Miro. So we have a good overview. Thanks a
My
lot
pleasure.
about self-discipline. Yes, we have now finished our series. We have talked about the 7S. And again, I will include in the comments section all of the episodes so that every YIPI member can look at it anytime, however they
Thank you so much.
like, one after the other. Thanks. Was a great pleasure.
Same here. Thank you for your
Mhm.
great questions, for your great discussions, and also
Welcome.
supporting on the technical part. It's very, very important, and I'm very grateful. And also, it was a huge pleasure to work with you on this project.
Great. Thank you. See you soon, Miro.
See you soon. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.